first?
I will go first. Just by way of announcements, it is that time of year, it's flu season, so we have been working with Mountain Peoples and the health department for getting our flu shots signed up for everyone and getting that kind of in line. As far as faculty and staff goes, October the 20th, we will be around to all the schools for faculty and staff, Mountain Peoples. We're trying to get a schedule placed, but we're waiting to see how many will actually sign up for that across the county. So it will be the same as always. They will fill the paperwork out. We will charge their insurance. It will be billed to their insurance, which will cost them nothing. But those that are not covered under insurance, the board will pay, which is under board policy, that the board will pay for their flu shots. Normally, we've been paying maybe for about 10 or 12, where we were paying for 100 and something at one point. So we're very glad that Mountain Peoples are going to work with us on that. The other thing is our student flu shots. We are getting those provided for us again this year also through the health department. We have those dates pretty much set up. I've still got one school, Miss Stanley, to try to get that date ironed out, but for all the rest of them, we have Fairviews will be on October the 27th. Robbins will be on November the 3rd. Sky High will be on November the 6th. Huntsville Elementary and Middle will be on November the 14th. And Birchville will be on November the 17th. So we are in the process of getting all that paperwork copied and sent home to the students so we can see how many that we'll be able to vaccinate there. So it's that time of year. Flu season is already hitting us some. We've already got cases of flu, positive cases. So we'll be vaccinating those children very, very soon, and our faculty and staff. And as far as health screenings go, we have not started that yet. I know we're getting a late start on that this year, but we are in the process of trying to come up with some equipment which will make things a lot faster, more efficient, take human error out of the way even more to get a more accurate reading on our students. So hopefully we will know more about that within a week or so. But other than that, that's all I have, unless you have some questions for me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Miss Debbie.
Okay. We've had a busy month in our special ed program with IEP meetings and eligibility meetings. I've been to several of the schools this month conducting special ed training with regular ed teachers, just going over some policies and procedures related to special ed students. Currently, I'm working, and Miss Amanda, we're working on desktop monitoring. Our federal programs are going through that this year. So we've been busy trying to complete that. And this week I will be getting a list of the student folders, special ed student folders that will be pulled for the file folder review for that monitoring coming up. I do have one item for the agenda, and it was laid up there in your stack. It is IDEA Part B. We did get an allocation, and if you will look in the credit column, you can see where some of that money, or the majority of that money, is going. We're putting some of that into teachers just to make sure that we have enough money to carry over for those teacher salaries. An educational assistant, I am going to have to hire another educational assistant because we have seen so many young children come in with behavior problems. So that will be a position that we will look at hiring. Of course, we want some more money in Social Security and state retirement for that assistant, and Medicare. The majority of the carryover, as you can see, is going into other contracted services, and that is for our OT, PT, speech, and also behavioral consultant. Just a little bit of money in travel because I will be sending some teachers to some trainings this year, the assistive technology training, the legal conference, the Partners in Education conference, and of course that will be travel money and in-service and staff development. But that is my amendment, my carryover. Do y'all have any questions or any comments about the carryover? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Tanya.
I do not have anything for the agenda. This Thursday night is our last regular season football game against the Robbins Hawks. The game will start at 7 p.m., but before the game, we will be having our homecoming ceremony, which will start at 6:30. We will also be having 8th grade night during this game because we had so few home games that were earlier, like in August. All of that will be done this Thursday night. We want to congratulate our football team for being the East District champions this year. Very proud of those ball players and that coaching staff. Brent mentioned all of the flu shots that we'll be having. The documentation for the students, which is the permission slip forms, will be going out to the students the week after we come back from fall break, which will be next week. So I'm sure that will be mentioned a few times here in a little bit. But other than that, I don't have anything unless you have something for me.
Thank you. Ms. Lisa?
I don't have anything for the agenda. I want to start out saying thank you to the maintenance department for coming over and working on our new sidewalk. Hopefully that'll get in soon. We are having family reading night tonight, 4 to 6. And we have 2nd grade sponsored pictures tomorrow for autumn. You can get 2x5 for $5. We also have some trips coming up. Those are on the calendars I gave you all. Parents, look for the calendars that are coming home because that gives you everything that we're up to lately. And just make sure you make yourself aware of those. Kona Ice will be coming on the 20th of October. And that's all I have unless you have anything for me.
Thank you. Ms. Donna, leave your back there. Yeah, you are.
Okay, nothing for the agenda. This Thursday, our 5th grade will be going to the park for the soil conservation trip. Friday is the end of the 9 weeks, and of course next week is fall break. And when we come back on the 23rd, we'll be having parent-teacher conferences from 4 to 7. After that, grade cards will be going home if the parents don't come by and pick those up at parent-teacher conference. So that will be the week after fall break. And also on the 23rd, that begins our Red Ribbon Week. So we encourage all the students to wear red on Monday. And they'll have some activities for the kids throughout the week. Other than that, any questions for me?
Thank you. Mr. Cash?
I don't have anything for the agenda. Couple things going on at school. Thursdays, we play Huntsville at Fairview. Game time's at 6:30. That's also our 8th grade night. Saturday, our first round of playoffs is going to be played on Saturday at noon. And that's against Robbins, and it's at Robbins. That's a little different than we've done in the past. Obviously, everybody's mentioned fall break next week. End of the 9 weeks, Friday, October the 20th, it's a Friday. That will be our fall carnival. And that's all I have. Unless you guys have anything.
Thank you. Ms. Stanley?
Okay, I don't have anything for the agenda either. Just want to mention that last Friday, we completed the cross-country competitions, and congratulations to 2 of the Winfield students. We had Cannon Van Hook, who finished in 2nd place countywide, and Haven Harness, who finished 8th. And I just want to congratulate all of those players from all the schools who participated in that. Those kids have run in the rain. They've run when it's been really hot. I just kind of stand around and marvel at their energy that they're able to complete those runs at all, let alone first or second or whatever. So congratulations to all of the schools and their cross-country runners. Also, I want to thank our coach, Brandy Harris, who was in charge and coordinated the countywide cross-country competitions this year. We also had some teachers who were notified yesterday that they have received Alqui grants this year, and those teachers were Kim King, Sheila Kidd, Hope Reynolds, Tabitha Crider, and Brandy Harris. So congratulations to all those ladies for receiving the Alqui grants. As Ms. Donna mentioned, we do have the soil conservation activity going on Thursday, so the 5th grades will be going to that. And they've also mentioned Monday, October 23rd, for the parent-teacher conferences from 4 to 7. We want to urge all the parents to come out and join us and talk with their students' teachers, and just be glad to have them there with us. We have our final football game in Oakdale on Thursday night. This has been kind of a hard year for us. We struggled with numbers of players and all. And I just want to say thanks to our coaches and to the players who stuck with it. this year. They've done a good job. Family reading night for us will be Monday, October 30th from 4 to 6. September, Mr. Murley's has always mentioned that September was the high attendance month, and our parents and students, I think, have worked really hard. We had almost a 98% attendance for the month of September. So, really thankful to those students and the parents for getting them there, and the students for attending. They did great. Also, appreciation to Mr. Blakely and the maintenance guys. They have been so good the first 2 months of school. I'm sure they're hard on them to try to get everybody up and running. And they've been just great to us about coming up and getting stuff fixed, whether it was air conditioners or something in the bathrooms or lighting or whatever. They've been fabulous about getting those things done for us. We have requested from Mr. Blakely a burnisher buffer. I call it a floor buffer. Ours is just shot, and Mr. Blakely and I have talked about it. I know that they are very expensive, certainly a lot more so than I had anticipated, but it does make a huge difference, I know, in our hallways and the floors and how they look. So, maybe, and I know he said that several of the schools needed those. So I just want to kind of keep the board aware that, that's something that you might want to look at to help you out in the future in that. And I don't have anything for the agenda, so that's all I have.
I would like to say too, on behalf of Ms. Stanley, I've been approached different times. The board needs to take a look and see what we got to do to get some lights up at that football field. They don't have any, I know it's late season, this is late into it, but by far next year, we got to get lights up there. I don't know what steps has to be taken, what we have to do, how much it's going to cost. I have no idea. But I think
Be
that's
around 30,000.
I think that's something that we must do. What happens if they go into overtime several times? I don't know. I don't know what would happen if they're playing.
We
I
did
know when I
have a
was up there,
problem the
everybody was
last,
asking what
we did have a problem last Thursday night. I thought they were gonna have to call the game, because it was so dark that by the time we got to the end of the game, you couldn't see. So, not only is it becoming an issue for the players on the field, but it's also becoming an issue for the spectators with the way our fields, when it slopes, when you come back down off the field, it's getting to be a safety issue for the spectators, for the adults, and all who are coming down off of that. So, like Tony said, again, it's something that I appreciated if everybody would kind of look at that and see. And I know, again, it's a whole lot of money. But it's something that's been on, as Mr. Hall will tell you, probably number one on my capital outlay list for several years. So,
And I think it's something that's just kind of, we're just got to do. That's something that we need to discuss, and that's what these sessions are for, to discuss, bring things up, and fix problems, not go around, we're running to the problem, I feel there's any fix.
Ms. Rector.
Thank you. For the agenda, and if Sharon may already have it on there, I do need the Beta Club trip for November the 16th through the 18th. That is an overnight trip in Nashville for those students. I do need to make sure that that gets on the agenda for this time. And that's all for the agenda. I do want to mention, as most of you know, we had a loved member of our Highlander family, one of our teaching assistants, Mr. Robbie Massey, who was involved in an accident last week, and just want to ask everyone to keep him and his family. His mother Sonia also works in the system. In your thoughts and prayers as Robbie recovers. I saw a picture, they sent me a picture of him today. He was up and actually got to go outside, but he still does have a very, very lengthy recovery ahead of him. He is still in the hospital. We'll be moving to a rehab facility soon. but he has a lengthy recovery ahead of him, and I know that he and his family covet your prayers. So I do want to, on behalf of that family, ask you all to keep him in your thoughts and prayers as he recovers, and we hope to see him back in our hallways very, very soon. Do want to thank everyone who was involved in our 11th Annual Heritage Festival and who came out. I know Miss Smith churned butter all day long there, but thankful for everyone who came out and enjoyed that day with us. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. Mother Nature couldn't have cooperated with us any better. It was a great, mild fall day. We had thousands of people there again. Every year we kind of think, man, we can't hold any more people, and a few more people show up and we managed to hold them, but thousands and thousands of people, we're estimating well beyond 7,000 people were there on Saturday. So it was a great, great day. Special thank you to our student Scott High Bluegrass Band that performed on the stage at 2 o'clock. They did a wonderful job. Had a lot of newcomers this year. We're a little bit nervous about that performance, but they did phenomenal. And so I hope that you were there to be able to see them. And as always, I don't want to list through a bunch of names because there are so many people involved in this. I would never want to hurt anybody's feelings by leaving them out, but there are a couple of just integral members of our faculty and staff that are involved in that. Gary and Robin Sexton, Paula Blakely, Tony Phillips, Sam Cron, Michelle Carson, and Miss Teresa Miller. Miss Teresa does a lot of things behind the scenes sometimes that people don't see, and she'll probably quit me if she hears me say her name on camera. But we want to thank those people especially because they have a really big hand in what we do each and every year, along with so many others. We don't have a final tally yet. We're still counting that up and taking out costs and those things, but we believe for school groups that day, we estimate around $11,000 we earned in fundraising for school groups that day. So we're very thankful and appreciative, and we hope that that continues for many, many, many years. Friday, as some of the other principals have said, is the end of the 9 weeks, and then we will embark on a much, much needed fall break. When we come back from that, our parent-teacher conferences will be on October the 24th on that Tuesday night from 3:30 until 6:30. We will host our fall sports senior night on Friday, October the 13th. That is the Friday during fall break. We are practicing and putting announcements out for that this week, but do want to remind parents and grandparents that that recognition will be on that Friday the 13th during fall break. Also, I know that last month we did put a request out for the finance office to bid for our senior trip once again, and so we should be getting those in sometime this month. We'll take a look at those. For the past 3 years, we've had one group that bids on that. I don't expect this year to be any different. Honestly, most of the tour groups don't bid senior trips anymore. Most high schools don't do senior trips anymore. We are one of the few that has held out and is still doing that. That number keeps creeping up each year. I did go ahead and contact that tour company this week to find out if they would let them know that that bid was out there, if they wanted to bid on that, and just to get a ballpark idea. Their numbers have even creeped up some. What we had looked at in the past is we would need a minimum of 30 students to commit to going. According to a conversation that I had yesterday with the gentleman who runs that company, those numbers have creeped up, and we'll need somewhere between 35 and 40 students to commit to going. That is going to be difficult. That's been difficult in the past to get 30. It will be difficult to get 35 to 40. We've already, I sent a couple of fundraiser forms in to Mr. Hall today. We're already starting on that to hopefully give kids a head start with that. But just keeping you all aware and letting you know kind of where that is and what that situation is. Those trips continue to get more and more expensive. And just quite honestly, we may be coming to the end of our ability to offer that as a school system. But we're going to drain it out till its last drop, and we'll see if it works out. But just keeping you all posted on where we stand for that. And if there are questions that you get on those, feel free to call me, and I don't care a bit to walk through some of those requirements with you. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murray, do you have anything?
I don't have anything for the agenda. I did give you a handout for attendance for the 2 months that we've been in school, and you can see there's a there's a drop from August to September, and it's just like we were talking before we got started here, the strep bug has hit us, and stomach virus. And very similar to last year. You know, this is my 4th year here. The first 2 years, we didn't have that sickness in September. The last 2 years, this year and last year, we're starting to experience that a little bit early, and even a couple of cases of the flu. So I would encourage our parents out there to, you know, get the flu shot for their children if they so choose to, and try and take care of yourself. And you know, if you've got a temperature of 102 and all that kind of thing, you know, we don't want you to come to school, because that's not only miserable for the student, it's going to make more that way. But on the other hand, you know, if you wake up with a sore toe, come on to school. But, you know, somewhere in between there, we got to draw the line. But that's all I have, unless you have
Like
something.
my son, he wanted to lay out of school, and I said, we go to school no matter what. Sometimes even with the temperature.
Yes.
Miss Amanda, did you have anything?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 items for the agenda. I have Amendment 2 to the general purpose budget, and then I have Amendment 1 to the federal budget. And you should have copies in front of you. If you don't have any questions for me, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Gregg?
I have nothing really for the agenda, other than Amanda's Amendment 1. I've got a lot of interest in that one. We did get awarded for switches and networking upgrades through E-Rate, and it was in the amount of approximately $250,000. We have to pay 10% of that in order to get it. So that amendment that she's talking about, if that happens, then I'll be able to do that. Everything's going pretty smooth right now, knock on wood, but don't really have anything else.
Have you heard anything on our state about our online testing? Are they gonna be ready for that?
Yeah.
This next go
We
around?
tested last year the high school, and this year we're doing 5, 8.
We could do 5 through 8, and I honestly don't know.
Yeah, it'll depend on, like what, last year the state kind of picked who would do the trial. Now, definitely the high school's gonna be testing online, but they will pick or choose some of our middles or whatnot. Right?
Any of our 5 through 8 can opt to do it.
Yeah.
If they choose.
And then, and most people want to.
Well, I know we're ready, but is the state ready?
We went to a meeting last week.
Okay,
We went to a meeting last week, all about it.
okay.
The question's not whether the online testing will work. The question is whether after the testing, they'll get their act together and let us get our scores.
Get the grade.
Preach, Miss Linda.
You don't even want me to come there.
That is true.
As far as the technical goes,
Is that something that has to be done by eyes, the grading part, or does the computer do it?
It's about half and half.
some of it's multiple choice, but
Yes.
some of it is essay.
Yes, that has to be
They have somebody
hand-graded.
to.
So they have to have eyes on it.
But, right, but even the data that they put out afterwards, they will give you a raw score data for the students to use for grading. However, they tell us not to use that information for anything else because it's not valid. But it's valid to use for student growth. But anyway, don't get me started on that. But anyway, the information that we need for proficiency and for teacher reports and all of that is months and months out. Almost really at this point, what, about a year behind
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
not have grades 2 through 8
at all?
achievement
Yeah.
scores, period.
But when we tested last year online at the high school, it went very smoothly. I mean, just a couple of minor hitches, but as far as even from this, we knew we were ready, but from the state perspective, this system that they have set up seems to be much more friendly and much more ready than the other system did. Yeah.
Director Hall, what are they telling you all about getting these grades back? I know you all meet as superintendents.
Normally about October, what they're telling us of next year, come what they're looking at, like the same as this year. I was gonna share with you guys, just got an email on my way here, grades 2 through 8 will be out tomorrow.
Okay,
So,
we'll see.
we'll see, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. We're all pretty cynical at this point.
Final, time they finalize everything, you're looking at only in October, right?
And I'll be honest, there was not a difference in the ones who tested online and that the ones who tested paper copy. It was the same problem. So, you know, it really probably wouldn't even matter if our principals, and we've not even discussed that.
It's been a big focal point with our directors too, as far as the questions, why.
No, but what are they saying they're doing to speed it up? Or are they doing anything?
That'd be more technology realm as far as when we'll meet probably at our January to February TOS meeting again. Should have some more information. Our last one, we didn't get a lot, other than, like I said, we're receiving our October data now, which, like I said, I just got an email a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Next year, hopefully we speed up probably in the same time frame, honestly. That's my perspective from what I'm hearing and from what we're dealing with.
That don't even make sense to me.
But
It doesn't.
I will not give you false hope.
Back to Greg. This way, you wanna go next?
I gave you a sheet of paper, put it up there for you, with just some announcements on it, just to remind you and our teachers. And October the 9th is the first day of fall break, which is a makeup in-service training for some of our teachers who didn't, out of the 15 days that we offered this summer, they couldn't find something they wanted to go to, so now they are going to have to go to makeup. And Tony Duncan's gonna do Office 365. Everybody loves technology, so hopefully everybody will get in there in the next day and get theirs done. Our 3-year-old pre-K classroom, talking about delays and dragging on and stuff, it was just approved a week or so ago. We had 18 students. I really was scared that it would not be approved because they keep saying, you know, the legislature set this up for kids who are on free and reduced, poverty kids, 4-year-olds. But it did get approved this year. I have a feeling that we better get 4s next year or we're gonna be out of luck. Anyway, then pre-K evaluator, I've told you before, we have a new person in charge of pre-K and they are staying right on everything. I'm gonna tell you, the attendance policy that we have is so stringent, it's been so tough. And to parents out there on TV, if you have a pre-K student, you know, and I know that first year is rough, kids get sick the first year they're in school, but if they're not sick, please send them to school. We're having a little bit of problem with absences, and that policy says, you know, you gotta call parents every day and see why they're not in school, and if they miss 5 days in 3 months, you have to call a parent meeting and set up a plan. So we tried to call one parent meeting because of that, and she yanked her child out of school. So anyway, we're going to do the best that we can with it. And of course, we have a pre-K evaluator who comes periodically to observe in the classroom and see that we're doing everything that we need to do. We were just talking about the pre-K and kindergarten portfolio sitting here a minute ago. That has turned out to be really controversial. It is something really brand new for pre-K and K teachers. The purpose of it, they say, is to allow those teachers to get their own growth scores by their students showing growth from point A to point B, just like our other teachers have TVOS based on test scores, whether or not their students can show growth from last year's testing to this year's testing. So the state has really kind of dragged their feet. We had trainings last year, then in the summer, after we had met with those teachers and told them what was coming down, then the state changes some of the things that has to be done, and so we start again, revamp, redo, and then call another meeting. And so our last meeting, we pulled them in last week or week before pre-K and K and just let them see what everybody was doing and share, and that turned out to be, you know, a really good plan. But again, yesterday I got the webinar, the video that showed the platform Educopia and how that's gonna be loaded. And Greg, what is it, tomorrow, you as technology lead, he's gonna get some information on how. See, these teachers should have been able to do their point A in August. This is October. What the state says is that when you first teach a subject to a child, this is the time to do point A. Like if you're teaching a child to say their numbers or do addition or whatever, you take the little video before they know how to do it. You take it when you first introduced it, and of course, they're gonna show growth between the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Well, here it is October, but anyway, they're not gonna change their mind. I've had some teachers said, well, it's just not fair, and it's not. But they're not gonna change their mind. Everything's in place right now. It's already started. There were some systems, even though they piloted this program last year, the state didn't do any better in preparing everybody to do that. Right now, they're piloting first grade. So you watch, it won't be long till first grade will be mandatory too. So anyway, you know, I have a meeting October the 26th to learn a little bit more. So we're just getting little bits and pieces, and it's really got everybody concerned. And I can understand how teachers are concerned. I think we're all worried about it and concerned, especially this first time. But as far as I know, not a thing we can do about it except complain and gripe. And I think everybody's already letting the state know about, you know, their concerns. RTI, we did get our math intervention material ordered, and that's been a long time coming. We got reading last year, and I think it's made one thing that's made a difference with our literacy scores. So we were very, very happy to finally find a math program that we felt like would be scripted for those teacher assistants who do intervention, whether or not it's teachers or teacher assistants. Everybody will know how to teach those kids the process. So we have ordered that. And we just did, this year, start the revised ELA and math standards. Well, now, next year's revised science standards. So now we are sending a district team for training on December the 6th, and then content leads will be the next training, and this summer will be teacher training for new science standards. And I heard they are really rigorous. Good for the child, hard to teach. But anyway, that's coming up. And again, I made a note on here that we should be getting achievement scores soon. So hopefully if the state does what they're supposed to, that'll be tomorrow. We do have summary of growth scores. I just want to go over a couple of these with you, and keep in mind, achievement is what a child makes on that given day. Growth is comparing what they do from one year to the next. They're testing history. So our growth scores, very pleased with especially literacy. For the first time in a long time, well, I won't say a long time, but a few years, we have a 3 in literacy. I'll just tell you, last year we got a 1. And we were so disappointed and so bothered about it. But teachers have worked hard. They've worked hard. Writing is an integrated part of every test now. And even though we have new standards, I think we have showed progress that we're proud of. So system-wide literacy was a level 3. System-wide social studies level 5. And of course, social studies standards have not really changed that much yet. System-wide composite 3, and then system-wide literacy based on TCAP, just TCAP test alone. This doesn't have second grade test in there. System-wide literacy based on TCAP test was a 5. So very proud of that. And on the next page, you can see some of the scores going on down. I listed the strengths of the schools. Our schools had a lot of strengths. Of course, we've got areas to work on, and I'll just tell you, our second grade is probably, in knowing that we want K2, pre-K2, to be a real good basis, basic education for those upper grades, we have got a lot to work in grade 2 in those K2s. So our second grade test, Birchville probably had the best one, they got a 4, but most of us, our second grade, really a struggle. So at least we know we've got to concentrate on some areas in second grade. And one good thing about this, the schools can look at one school, and if they had a 5 in an area, then we can go say, what are you doing to get a 5 in this area if we've got a 2 or 3. So this has let us know the growth is really good. Growth is important because we want our students to learn. So we can use this information to, help improve on our strategies and what we're doing. And our teachers have worked hard, I think, as far as literacy, our intervention has helped too. So any questions about that? And you can see for yourself.
Looks like to me, if we're struggling in second grade, next year's third grade, and that's gonna be what we call a pretty good change, about like going from eighth grade up to the freshman. Look like we're gonna be in somewhat of a trouble there next year if they're
Well,
struggling for sure in the second grade.
I don't know why, but historically, our second grade has struggled a little bit. But keep in mind what our third grade scores have been for the last 3 years. We have been up there, so I don't know. I know we've got super good third grade teachers, not saying that we don't have super good second grade teachers, but for some reason, we've got to look at what we need to do this year for second grade. Now, I will say this, second grade last year, the second grade test was a new test. And even though we have a plan of non-negotiables in writing for K2, kindergarten students ought to be able to write a couple of sentences by Christmas. But when you go to K1 and 2, by the time they get to second grade, they ought to be able to write a paragraph. Some of our teachers did a good job with that, and some did not do as much as we had hoped they would do, and that hurt our second grade test. It was not the same SAT-10 test that we've had in the past. It was a brand new test, criterion reference, not norm reference, so it was different, and they had to do a lot of writing. So some of those things could have made a difference, but still we're going to look at, especially that writing piece, and what we need to do. Because we're used to getting good third grade scores. I went on that site to see, where we always get the Elgin site, where that foundation site, where we always see, there's nothing on there right now. And actually, since we didn't finish testing last year, remember? Testing was totally blown. So there probably won't even be that on there to compare. But we feel like that we know now, because we have scores by grade too, that's going to be, and that's growth scores by grade. I don't think we've really had that much in the past, so it's gonna help. But right now, what we've got, based on new standards, a new test, we feel pretty good about it.
Now, these portfolios we was talking about a while ago, those are starting second grade down K through 2 or what?
No, just pre-K
Just
and
pre-K.
K. Now,
Okay.
some schools are piloting that in first grade, which tells me that's probably coming. And we hope, the schools that piloted the pre-K and K last year, once they got into it and did it the first time, they look back on it, it's not so bad. So maybe, hopefully it won't be.
I mean, personally, I can see where that would be really beneficial for the teacher. I know that's actually work to get that portfolio done, but for sure, you could look right there and see what every individual student you had done. Then when you pass that on with them, even the teachers getting them the next year can look and see exactly where they were at.
Right.
I mean, I know it's difficult to do those things, it's just more work.
Yeah,
But I can see the benefits of that's unbelievable.
right.
But I don't think they need to make it hard. I think it needs to be simplistic.
Well, I think it's
And
scary
every
too,
teacher, I
because it's,
would probably do it just a little bit different. I don't think it needs to be A, B,
Well,
C, D.
they have a choice of standards that they can show. And, what we've suggested is they do all their students, and then they can pick that top student, that average student, that low student, that they want to upload that data on them
Yeah.
and send it in. They totally have control of their own destiny with this. It would have helped if the state would have given us this at the beginning of the year, and we would have been ready to go. That's all these things do.
Thank you. All right, Rick.
I have a couple of things.
you should have a paper that looks like this first, and we'll do this definitely needs to go on the agenda. It's a textbook adoption cycle. You may have got shuffled to the back. We are in section C right now. That's midway down. And this is a hefty adoption year. If you'll notice, across the top, it's curriculum instruction, which that's regular ed and career and technical education is on the second one. We have 5 adoption committees that we need to appoint. I have 4 of them ready tonight, and I'll have another one by the next work session. I feel like those 5 are science, PE wellness, fine arts, on the general ed side, then on the CTE side it's arts and anatomy and physiology. And probably the most important of that is, from our perspective, is the science, because that's everybody. Also the PE, wellness and health will impact a lot of students. Underneath that, you have a copy of the committee. And I did, so, are the committees, there are 4 committees on these 2 sheets. And I'll leave those to you to read. If you have any questions, on the Science Adoption Committee, they're broken down K through 5, 6 through 8 by school. Then the high school is biology and chemistry, and they have 5 members on theirs. The PE wellness is all of the PE teachers at the elementary, middle schools, and high school has 3 teachers. Fine arts, we only have 3 on that committee, and anatomy and physiology, we only have 1, because we only have 1 lady that teaches that. And I would ask that you put that on the agenda. And there's always a question comes up about what are we adopting next. And this little document right here, I keep it kind of stuck on my wall, and I've got it on my computer as well. But this will tell you the 2 adoption cycles and what will be coming and how we're going to adopt them. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. I'll skip and do the trucks last, if that's all right. Just wanted to update the board about the bus garage demolition. Got a call from Alan Hill today, and he's touched base with the lady with the company who won the bid, and so that should be much nearer now than it was before. But based on that, I went ahead and called our asbestos contractor. He started the paperwork process for that. It takes a 10-day notice before he can even begin work. So as soon as that's done, I think he'll be ready to start taking that asbestos out. We're in the process of clearing out all of the stuff that's still stored there. There's still a bunch of records that we don't know what to do with. We're scrambling to find places to keep the stuff that's good. There's a bunch of old records that's out there. You're welcome to go look at them. We started moving them out. Not sure what's there, to be honest with you. I feel like there's some financial records, some personnel records. There was a time that the Board of Education had their own finance department, and I suspect that probably the records date back to that. But
is that something we have to keep?
75 years old, it goes?
Certain things, 75 years.
Payroll?
This is one of those things, Mr. Thompson, I'm operating in the dark on. I'm sure there's people who know, and I take their word for it. So we're going to try to look and see what we have to keep and get rid of the rest. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I've spoken to Miss Reynolds, and she's willing to come look at them. So there's a possibility that we've talked about building a separate maintenance facility. I know that's way down the road, but we may need to buy a small storage building, depending on how we're able to compact what we've got. A lot of that stuff is expensive to buy. You don't use it a whole lot, but we have some fairly expensive materials that's stored there. We're trying to get all that done so the asbestos removal can take place. We figure we got probably 2 weeks to get everything cleared out. Ms. Stanley mentioned her burnisher, and she does need one. Fairview needs one. We're exploring possibilities. Now, I don't mean to bore you, but I've learned a little bit about, we call them buffers. Any machine that does your floor, that's a buffer. But there's a high speed and then there's a low speed. The high speed sometimes called a burnisher. And that's what we need more of, is the burnishers. The low speed, you use that for scrubbing and cleaning. We're probably okay with that. But we do need at least 2, and we have 2 more out there that's just, it's not very good shape at all.
What kind of money we talking about?
Somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000
A piece?
a piece. Yes, sir. They're a, I don't know if they're 24 or 36 volt rechargeable, and so that, and they're just a walk behind machine. I've even been looking on eBay, found a possible deal on some on eBay if it's still there, but that would require somebody buying it personally and getting reimbursed and then traveling to pick them up. That's kind of the big sticking point in my mind, because they're in Arkansas, but I have considered that. We're just kind of looking right now. We definitely need 2 and really could use 4, maybe 5. It's pretty much a need. The 2 machines at Huntsville are not very good either. So, you know, that's something that we're going to be buying, I think, pretty soon. They were used. They look better than anything we had. A lot better.
I'd rather buy new than take a chance on that.
Well, they were,
Is that, you ride that or you walk behind it?
you walk behind it. You walk behind it.
You won't be able to use it to seal car. It's not a rider.
I figured if you had motor, you ride that.
Well, now,
Looks like to
we'd
me,
be happy to have 4 of those, but your price goes up substantially.
looks like to me, John, if we're where we're at, what Director Hall thinks about this, looks like to me, rather than trying to dump them all, that we get maybe a couple at a time or something. If Bill's good with that, I'm good with that, and we put it on the agenda. And
I'm good with that, but, and you know, we fix at them and we try to keep them going. Sometimes we replace batteries, sometimes we buy chargers, but you know, we're not really trained to deal with those, and most of the stuff we got is pretty old, and so yeah, it's time to start replacing. Mr. Hall wanted me to bring this, we talked about our bus, or about our trucks, and he thought we should bring this back to you. And I guess you can do, you know, whatever the pleasure of the board is, but you got a sheet that looks like this. It says truck bid comparison. Everybody has one in front of them. I kind of set it off to the side so it'll be easy to find. And I broke that up into 3 different trucks. Trucks 2 and 3 are identical, but just in order to be able to talk about them, I think you should have one up there too, Mr. Hall. I got it. And yeah, I know you've looked at it, but what we ran into basically was Ford had 2 trucks in stock and 1 expected in November. Chevrolets, we're looking at 30 or 60 to 150 days out, and that's the only 2 quotes I got. We did not go for Dodge or Toyota or Nissan. We just looked at Ford and Chevrolet, and the difference when you look at each truck individually is a little over $3,000. When you look at them together, the difference in price is $10,508 and some change. And you know, while we need them now, the men say they're willing to wait in order to save that kind of money. The half-ton are both 2018. The ton trucks is comparing a 2018 with a 2017. And the Ford dealer had those and had one in stock now and thought he would have another one in November. But like I say, if we wait, according to the figures that I was given, we would save $10,508.76.
Are these quoted with the tool beds ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready to go, four-wheel drive, four-door?
Yes. Yeah, there's more specs behind this sheet.
I read some of those, but I didn't know what. One
The
truck was
tool bed-
1,500, the other one was 3,500.
Yeah, the 1,500 was for our maintenance supervisor.
Okay.
A four-wheel drive pickup.
Okay.
And then 2 ton trucks, the 3,500 or 350. And they're 11-foot beds, is my understanding. I did not go through and compare tape or CD player to whatever. I didn't get down to that level of analysis, but they're all 4-door, except that the pickups are extended cab or crew cab. Or
Yeah, with what they got now is, I don't know if you guys are, I'm sure one of us is aware of it, which I talk to those guys all the time. And they got some old trucks. That almost had a dangerous call a while back. They're pulling, I think,
they're getting ready to pull.
and the brakes line blows. And here they go for almost a crash. So, I mean, they're just old trucks. That, to me, it's a liability concern too, to have 3 grown men right there in front of a single cab pickup. And that's what we're facing. They're small trucks. This should last a long time, what, 15 years?
Maybe, you know, we take care of our stuff pretty well. I mean, we've patched on these old trucks. We've had, you know, we've put brakes and, you know, try to keep the maintenance up on them. Done a lot of stuff to keep them on the road, but you're right, they're not the most comfortable mode of transportation.
So we're talking roughly $100,000.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to check your back pocket, John.
Sure.
I mean, I know Blake has got money.
No, actually, I think I used my last one, John.
Okay. I was really going for those buffers. And then you scared me. You got out my league.
Yeah.
Did I just have the buffer?
I'm good with the buffer.
Always, we save the best for last.
That's what, well, you sure did. I do have something on the agenda. I would like to ask the board's permission to continue with renovating the cafeterias at Robbins and Birchfield. We had the plans and the designs done back in, well, let's see, it wasn't last, I think it was a little bit over a year ago. And now I'm ready, I would like to move forward on them. It'll take about a whole year's process because there's a lot involved. After you all give permission to move forward, I'll have to contact the state to get approval to make the purchases. And then if I get that, then we'll have to line up the painting process and then give them time to build everything and then come in and put in all the decor, bring in the tables and all that stuff. So we're still looking at probably up until maybe spring break of this coming year, but it takes this length of time to get it all together. But I would like to move on forward with this. It would be no cost to the board. Of course, it would come from school nutrition. And go ahead and complete those 2 projects. And if we get that completed, then we have done all 6 schools. And then we'll all be finished.
Did you get your dishwasher?
My dishwasher is still in progress. I was just doing some texting here with them. There's some things that they're having to build special for us and things that we're having done, and it will be in the next few weeks. We had a deadline, I was told at first, was the end of September, and I was pushing for that real hard, but we all know the state. So they've extended that deadline, so we're not so pushed for time. but hopefully it will be in before the month is out. It will be in yeah, you'll have to go out and see it.
I want to see that.
It should be a nice dish room. Maybe it'll last another, this was the original that they have now, so it will never last as long as this one, I'm sure, but we'll hope it will. But like John says, our folks take care of things, and our Hobart, we keep under contract with our dishwashers. When those people come in here and look at those and they're the originals, they brag on our people, on our workers, and they talk about it. They have to take pride in what they have and keep them so clean, or they wouldn't be working. And they do. They work hard and they do a great job, and you know, they maintain our equipment. So that's why we're lucky. We're very fortunate because of them is why our stuff lasts as long as they do, whether the old trucks or whatever. They keep things going for us. So they're well deserving of anything new they can get.
When you all remodel those cafeterias, do you not diminish the capacity, seating capacity?
No.
It doesn't, it looks like it is.
No. If things are left as they're supposed to be when they are designed, no. They are to code. They are handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Everything is fit to code, and no, they have as much room unless they remove some of the seating.
What do you do with the old seating that was in the cafeteria?
Well, we had some of the tables, you know, you can't sell them, nobody hardly, you know, goes to those or anything. If any of the schools or anybody had use for any of them, they were welcome to use those. Some of them kept some of them. Those that didn't, we had to move them. Boys and Girls Club were offered some, the churches, if it was anything in the community like that with churches and stuff, and they had a need for it, I offered it to them, and then they wrote a letter to us, and that's where they are.
Were they not also offered on gov deals for 2 cycles before that?
Well, that was the first round we went through. We tried the gov deal, which nobody would take them. I mean, that's what I'm saying, nobody would take those. And so we had to try to move those through. Everything else, anything we could use, we sold. But nobody, we kept some. I know some of the maintenance guys took the seats off of some that didn't look very well as far as the tables. And they took some of the seats off to keep for those that had not been redone. And that way they could use those seats to replace some where the kids would rock on them and break them. But other than that, that's what I've done. We haven't just thrown them away or done away with them. They've been sent somewhere for good use. So several of the churches have taken them. And I know that, I was sitting here trying to think, I can't remember all of them. I know
We've still got several at school.
I know the high school uses them. I think Sharon and them kept some.
We kept some in the
I
church.
think Huntsville
took some.
did. Black Oak Church, I know took some. I had a letter from them. One of the Fairview area churches took some. One, I think it was in the Paint Rock area somewhere. Some of them. But anyways, they were offered.
I just wondered.
Yeah. I put it out, but we called around everywhere. I don't think the Boys and Girls Club, though, ended up taking any that was offered to them also, but they didn't need any. But we tried to give them to different organizations that might have a need. That's what we've done with those. But now we will probably, especially for whatever school that we're in, I always give the school the option first. I think, if they have any needs for it.
They look nice, all these cafeterias. They look really nice.
Well, it's, when I have those designed, I have a student committee. The students choose, what do you want? What would you like to see? What would make you want to hang out in here? And when this design team comes in and they sit down with them and the students give them all their ideas, they go back and they design it. Then they come back again and we sit down with them and show them, and do you like this? Well, no, we don't like that, just different things. I know, like at the high school, they had a surfboard on the inside of the serving line area, and the kids were like, we don't do that here. So they did a 4-wheel. They wanted a 4-wheeler, and it was the first one the company had ever designed. And I have to tell this story, since everybody else has been telling her, let's tell one too. This design team, the guys that comes in and install, we're kind of on first name basis anymore, but they come out of Wisconsin.
And when they first came, they liked, well, I said, well, you ought to look at Brimstone, you know, and if you like to ride and things like that. And come to find out, they go across the country riding four-wheelers. So they came back. They've been coming back ever since. They come in 2 or 3 times a year, and one of them would like to retire and come back here. But when they did this design here and did the four-wheeler at the high school, the owner of this says, when you do that, I want to see it. I might put one of those in my house, you know, in one of those designs. So in doing these two, we brought some people into the county, then they come back in and
Spend their money.
and spend their money. So, but I think it's been a good thing. I think it's added a lot to the schools, in the cafeteria areas and everything. It's been a way of, like I said, adding to each and one of your all's schools that way. And the best part, it's been no cost to the board. So that's a good thing. Yeah. I'm not John, I'm not asking for anything. But other than
You
that.
sure you don't need a crew cab truck for the cafeteria?
No, but I have been thinking about a van. Because we do need,
Well, let's
do
get
need to
the crew cab
transport
first,
things.
now, cafeteria.
You need a buffer.
Well, how I can work that one in on participation, but we can
So
work
I'm
on.
assuming you're using this buffer in the cafeteria.
Yeah, there you
90% of the time.
Yes.
All right, now we're talking. Now we're getting where we need to be.
I know I'm not, I'm gonna have to go to the state desk if I can buy it. I don't know if they would approve it or not, but. But anyway, but that's all I have. Everything's going well. We're doing okay and things, but unless anybody has questions for me.
Thank you. Mr. Ross.
Thank you. Couple items for the agenda. First, number one, that's something I would really like to see done is a bereavement for our non-certified personnel. If you can read this, the Scott County Board of Education shall provide 3 consecutive days of bereavement for leave in the event of a death of a family member. And for the purpose of this benefit, a family member should be defined as a spouse, parent, step-parent, parent-in-law, child, stepchild, sibling, grandchild, or grandparent. Employees shall receive regular scheduled pay, and the board shall provide a substitute teacher where applicable. Also, would like to continue our donations up to the Imagination Library in the amount of $2,000. Also, would like to approve the first reading of the following board policies. Policy 6.4081, relocation of students. Policy 6.500, special education students. Policy 6.503, homeless students. I'd also like to approve the TSBA policy maintenance agreement. That's all I have for agenda items. Real quick, we'd like to announce that fall break beginning next Monday, October 9th through the 13th. Central office will be closed beginning October the 9th for the week of fall break. Also, a regular scheduled board meeting will be on Thursday, October the 19th. This has been scheduled on there the entire time. We did that to because of fall break for next week. As I did announce earlier, did just receive an email just as I was coming in today about our 10 ready results for grades 3 through 8 should be out tomorrow. So hopefully when we get that information, we'll get it on to our principals and have that ready, and I'll get the board a copy as well for that. Would want to say congratulations, a big thank you to the staff, students, administration of Scott High School for a wonderful Heritage Festival. As always, to see what transpires those 2 days is remarkable. What those kids do, and the people that operate and manage and run the festival event. This is the first time, I think, this is the 12th year, is that correct? 11th year that I've not been able to attend. Now, I ain't gonna say unfortunately, but I was in Valley, Alabama watching my son play football. And, but I did talk to Miss Director on the way and called her also later, and she was just going on and on how great the crowd was and the participation and everything was just tremendous. Parent-teacher conferences, October 23rd for the middle school and elementary, 4 to 7 p.m. And the 24th for the high school from 3:30 to 6:30. And that's all I have, unless y'all have questions for me.
I actually thought we addressed the bereavement thing in the last contract?
We did for
For
teachers.
teachers.
This
Oh,
is
okay.
non-certified.
Oh, okay.
This is something you guys really been
Okay,
from dear to me, so.
Oh, okay. okay. I misunderstood you there.
Yeah, this is for the non-certified
Okay.
personnel. And that's all I have.
Silcox, you have anything?
No.
I just want to invite everybody down to our auction at Robbins School tonight. We're raising money to pay for our bleachers on our football field. Starts at 6 o'clock. And do want to congratulate Melissa and all the staff for an excellent Heritage Festival. It was awesome. And I'm amazed that there are no incidents of problems. You don't see any problems or accidents. It's awesome. So, and the law enforcement was there to keep everybody safe and secure, so we have to give Tommy a little shout out. You was talking about giving away stuff that you didn't need in the cafeteria. Our fire department at Robbins is really needing a storage cabinet. And I've been looking for one for months now. We cannot afford to buy one, so if there's any school that has a storage cabinet, we could use one.
Do you ever have any, John?
I have had in the past, I actually got some wood ones right now you probably could
I think
use.
we've got a couple that we got from John. We used several of them, but I think we've got a couple put back in storage.
Okay.
Let me check on that tomorrow, Diane. I'll get
We
with you.
really need one.
Yeah, they're nice. They're very nice wood.
Okay, I'll
cabinets.
call you.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
I've got some now, but they're not near as nice as
Yeah,
what, I just
okay.
got them in, but they're not as nice as what they've got.
John, you hold down on.
Actually, we got them in when I was young.
But you know, I've been looking for one for a long time.
I would never
Okay,
hold
thank you,
out.
I had a steak over your gouge there. Because you tell her I know.
I would like to congratulate Scott High. I think it's the best Heritage Festival yet. I think everything went smooth. Gary, Robin, you all, everyone that worked so hard. I've heard nothing but compliments.
Awesome.
Who did the count?
Chair Keaton.
Great job.
Very
Very impressive.
That was the counter I asked about.
Yeah.
Because I knew I hadn't got one, that I always
That's
keep
it.
one on my desk and keeps track of everything.
You have anything, John?
Actually, just congratulate them to Scott High. That was, and everybody took a part of it. I personally thought it was laid out better than any year I've been
We
there.
did adjust some things.
You adjusted some
Yeah.
things and
Great. Good.
it was a good one.
It seemed like there was more room for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well,
Well,
I think it's the way
we
they
gotta
had
make room for
everything
people.
laid out. It helped.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And the Scott High singers, Lord mercy, that's professional all the way. I mean, they are great.
And I think we had 2 returning members. There were only 2 returning members.
I think
in
that the
group,
lead
the rest of
singer,
them are
that girl,
new. Yeah.
She is great.
She's a senior this year. We got a couple more coming up, but a lot of those guys, this was their first time on stage, and so they were pretty nervous, but they did a great job. We were so tickled with them.
Did your 6th grader come out and play?
Yeah, Andy, he came out and played the banjo with
Yeah.
us. He does a great job. We're excited for
There
him.
was on the Friday, I think it was a little girl from Robbins, that got up and sang with, the band. Just come out, her group and her to watch. And I think Miss
Really?
Tracy, Sexton may have a video, TV.
Well, we'll have to recruit her up.
Mr. Sexton said that if he had more
Absolutely.
time, he would have got her included, and there she was awesome.
Oh, great.
Well, she could sing. Nice little ball head girl. I tell you, she sung Jolene.
One of my favorites.
She had, played the guitar too.
Really?
Rebecca Garrett.
I bet it
Uh,
Or Rebecca Blevins and David Blevins' daughter.
Okay.
Ray Lynn, that's who it is.
Okay. I know that. Yeah, well, like I said,
Got-
we'll
got
recruit
some-
her
got-
up.
She
got
plays
some
on
coming.
Facebook all the time.
Really?
Yes, Rebecca posts it all the time.
We'll have to find her.
Good.
principals, I want to remind you to be sure to send your fifth graders to the nice city park for that fifth grade day, because that's an awesome day.
What's the day?
It is.
It's this Thursday.
This Thursday.
And if your principals want to come, you're welcome to come. So, I love it. I love going. The kids, they say that's one of their best days, so just send it out there. And for that, anybody else have anything? No? You guys can go home, or you can stay and go to policy.